Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. This is part one of the GoDaddy video series where we will look at how to buy a domain, how we can buy a web hosting, and how do we upload our projects or website to GoDaddy web hosting. In this video, I'll cover what is domain and how we can buy one, and a little bit more information about the TLDs, which is basically top level domain, and how that affects your ACO ranking. I wanted to request you to subscribe my channel and share your feedback in the comment section, which will motivate me to create more such videos and help you in a fashion that I can. Please don't forget to hit the bell icon, which will keep you notified of any new uploads. With that, let's get started. GoDaddy is one of the renowned domain registrar worldwide. They provide a wide range of services where you can buy domain hosting, plus they give you brokerage services. I'll come to that once we're discussing about premium domains and the domains that are already bought which you can't buy. Now when it comes to domain, it's basically more like a name of your business, but for the internet or uh, online community. Now, when we are talking about domain, you need to understand that anyone can buy a domain as long as they can figure out what the name would be. It's not directly dependent on whether they have a business registered with that name or not. Nowadays, parked domains are more like a profession where people just buy a domain, keep it parked, and if you own a business with the same name, they can sell it to you but at a higher price, which is where the concept of brokerage comes in. I'll detail that later in this video. So depending on when you are buying this domain, you have few options. Now there's a concept of regional TLDs and generic TLDs. So if you're a business and you found out that the domain that you are looking for your business already exists and someone is using it, you can approach them, ask them if they are willing to sell out. If not, you have to change the name, or you can go for a regional domain or else a generic domain. So that way it will help you. If in case you are a business and have a decent financial condition, you can go for a brokerage service through which they can negotiate with a third party, and if they are willing to sell out, then it's good, because usually the cost is decent, as in more than 500 to 2000 USD, and can go even further depending on what's the name and what's the current price, and there's a lot of factor. For example, let's say I want to check the price of a domain. Uh, can be I owning it or someone else. So we can use a portal like this. We just type in the domain name with the extension or TLD and click on Go Value. That will give us the estimation figure. So let's say for this domain, one can charge me or ask me more than 1200 USD or 1500 USD. So similarly, you can find out what the estimation that would be, and or else if you're going for a brokerage service, that they can charge you a commission, probably 20 to 30% percent of the total domain value, and they can charge you a uh, initial fee that can cost you 99 USD or even more or less depending on who you're approaching. Okay, now let's go ahead and see what all are the TLDs that GoDaddy offers. Click on the link on top that says domain, or simply just type it in the URL, or you can get it from the navigation menu wherever you find decent. Okay, so this page here you can simply search, or else we'll just look for what all are the TLDs that they are offering. So you'll notice there are few regional TLDs, higher level TLDs, and few generic TLDs like health, party, agencies, and all. By now you are most likely willing to know what is this TLD that I'm talking about. So let's say you have a domain or else website URL that is google.com. Now this .com is the TLD, that is top level domain that we're referring to. And when we talk about domain, we have few restrictions. It's not as if we anyone can get any TLD. So let's say .gov or .org or .mil are registered for, let's say, MIL for military purpose, .gov for the governments. This is for US government, not just for any other governments actually. For our own governments, or they can mix it with the regional uh, TLDs. So for regional TLDs, these are basically country specific TLDs. Now you might have noticed something called AI or IO. Now these are not AI equals to artificial intelligence or anything of that sort. These are country specific TLDs. Now if you see AC, this is for a country, but some governments, let's say UK, they use .ac .uk. Now AC they use for academic purpose websites. Even India and Indonesia uses the same. So you can mix most of the TLDs with your regional domains. So here the AI, which we refer to as artificial intelligence, but that's not actually what it is. It's for a domain, regional or country. So here the IO, which technology companies uses quite often, and it cost 2 to 3,000 INR. So if you notice India.in, so they are using gov.in. So they're adding one more additional root domain to the primary one, that is .in, and then on top of it they are using gov. Okay. Apart from regional TLDs, we have the generic TLDs. These are basically, let's say, party, academy, store, and anything literally. Uh, so if you own a retail store and you are not getting a domain in the primary TLDs, you can refer to xyz.store or something depending on your business category. So if you are from fashion, you can get a .fashion, or if you are a online store, you can get a .online extensions. So that way most of your problem with not getting a domain gets sorted, but at times thus conflicts with the ACO bit, which we'll discuss later in this video. Okay, back to buying a domain. So here you just type in the name that you want. So I believe by now you have a name in place. If you don't have one, you can simply type in and see if anything that you are looking for exists and if there's any recommendation from GoDaddy depending on your searches. Okay, I'll simply search for silverFoxA. I know that .com is not available, but yes, still. So it is by default showing me the regional domain and saying, okay, this is available. So that's fine. Now let's say I want to see the .com is available for me. Now you have to understand that regional compared to regional domain, the primary TLDs are better with respect to the ACO score. So you have to ensure that if you are want ACO related uh, benefits, always get a regional domain and get the primary domain, that is .com. The primary reason being, if one is holding the primary TLD, as in let's say .com, and I own .in, that person can sell it to someone, or else he himself or the person themselves can work on the ACO bit, as in use their own keywords to rank above us or else directly compete against my own business. So that is a drawback, which is why it's always recommended that if possible, get all the regional domains and primary domains against your business name. If you notice right hand side, it says they are providing domain broker service, and the broker service fee itself is 70 USD. And if you click on this question mark right next to it, you'll be able to see that they are charging 20% on top of uh, the domain charges, plus the broker's fee is different. So there's a 20% commission on top of the value of the domain, and you have to pay 70 USD to initiate the request. Now, as my domain is not available, right, .com, so GoDaddy is giving me few other suggestions. If in case you want to know who is holding the domain that you want, you can always do a WHOIS lookup, WHOIS, and that will give you who exactly is owning it currently, if at all they haven't enabled the privacy protection. So you can go to ICANN.org, or they are the one who is kind of looking after this entire thing. That's basically an organization. You just type in your domain name with the TLD, and that will give you information about which service or hosting service they are using, and they will also give you when it's expiring and who registered it and all the details. If let's say they have an enabled privacy protection, you'll also get the phone number and contact details using which you can connect with them and negotiate for the price or anything of that sort. If they are willing to sell, then it's good, and if you are okay with the price, so you can continue. Else, there's the other approach which we discussed, we can take. If you need any technical guidance or support, you can join me on Patreon, where I can interact with you personally and help you out with your doubts or any technical guidance. Okay, back to purchasing the domain. So go to GoDaddy, and let's say you are confident with the name that you want and it is currently available. For my case, let's say silverFoxA.in, which is basically a regional domain. So it's saying the current price is 3.99 USD. I'm okay with that. So what I'll do is I'll simply click on add to cart and continue with the cart. This will take you to the checkout page where you have the option to select few other things, like whether you want email address, whether you want web hosting. For the time being, we won't bother about any of these. We'll simply click on no thanks. So that's the cost per month, but let's say we don't want it for the time being. Even on Linux web hosting, this I'll show you in the next video, as in how to buy a web hosting and connect it to your domain on GoDaddy. So these are the few of the offers that they're giving. Click on continue to cart button. Here you'll be asked to create an account or sign in case you haven't signed in yet, or don't have an account. So if you don't have an account, continue with the creation process, but if you already have an account, go ahead and click on the sign in button or the link on top. Once logged in, it will provide you with an with the option to make the payment, and it may, depending on your location, it may ask you any additional details like tax or related information, as in identification number or anything of that sort. You can select the payment details, and on the right hand side you can configure for how many years do you want it to be available. Depending on your location, you will have different payment methods, but credit card and PayPal will always be there for everyone. So select whichever you want. And here we can toggle for how many years do you want to make the purchase. For now, I'll just put it as 1 year so that I can show you. Also, we discussed about the coupon code in this video. So click on have a promo code and enter this particular coupon code that will give you 33% off. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel and like this video. Once the coupon code is applied, you can proceed with the payment and complete the process. On successfully completing the payment process, you'll receive a payment receipt mailed to your email account, and you'll be able to see the same on your GoDaddy portal. Click on my account, and that will give you access to the list of domains that you own or the products that you own. Let's say I have few other set of domains already available, which is why I didn't make the purchase. I'll use one of these domains to show you the next step. You can click on manage all or simply click on manage button there. In case if you clicked on manage all, it will again list out all the domains, but with few other information or details. uh, so here you have an option to kind of auto renew your domains, and if in case you didn't buy the domain protection, you have the button to proceed with that. For now, we'll go for domain settings to show you few of the content that will require in our upcoming videos. For this domain, I already have the domain navigated to a different service provider, but we'll discuss about that later. Okay. If you scroll down to the bottom where it says additional setting, you will notice, okay, for now I don't have any protection enabled, so which is why you are seeing that button. Here you can choose to auto renew or not renew and keep the domain lock enabled, so that by mistake or anything you don't change any stuff, and you have the feasibility to transfer your domain to another GoDaddy account or transfer domain to somewhere else apart from GoDaddy. For now, we'll go to manage DNS, and the other two we'll discuss in a next video. No, in as I said, for this I navigated my DNS or name server to AWS, which is where you are saying AWS related name servers. Now these are you do this when you don't want to use WHOIS hosting services from the domain provider. Rather, you want to navigate to a secondary um, hosting provider. For that, we change the name server, or else you have the feasibility to change the A record. But for this case, I'm maintaining my name server in AWS itself. I made a detailed video. I'll just add a link of it, but that's for DigitalOcean. Process is same anyway. So let's say for the timing, I'm choosing one of the domains which is currently available in GoDaddy, and I'll continue with the same domain for this entire video series. Okay, click on Manage DNS. It will give you a list of records. You need not worry about that for the time being. We'll discuss in depth later. But for the time being, what you need to understand is there's something called A record and NS and MX. MX is to configure your mail server and mail related attributes. NS is basically who will maintain your DNS. So here we're referring to the NS or name server records of GoDaddy. So GoDaddy has the uh, uh, power now to maintain your domain name. Your DNS, domains DNS. Now a record here, type A, is referring to the primary at the rate equals to primary domain, as in root, as in whatsappseo.com, and currently is pointing to parked. Parked is basically a alias given by GoDaddy by default, but you can refer it to any IP address, not just any, it's basically the IP address of your web hosting where your projects are located. In case if I missed anything, please leave a comment. I will ensure that we take this up in our next video. And in case if I hope you liked the video and it was informative enough for you, please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon.